Okay, here we go. Welcome, folks, to Pat's Procrastination, coming at you after the draft. Here we are, episode 94, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Please do not forget to be rating, reviewing, and subscribing, folks, so that you do not miss an episode of the show, because simply we're on some weird-ass delay because it's kind of the off-season. So I think it's been about 3 weeks since we've been annoying you on the airwaves. But here we are, folks, back to talk draft, to discuss, to dissect, to argue draft. It is me, Clazzy Clare. It is him, Chudders. So, Chudders, how are things with you?
Things grand with me. We got some new players to talk about now, Claire. Isn't it exciting?
We have. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Did you enjoy how the draft went? Overall, just as a process?
Yeah. Yes. As a general overall, it was all good, fine. There's a couple of obviously niggles. There's a couple of kind of like, yay, 2 thumbs up. But generally, overall, as a general, it felt like, mostly no drama. We got guys that we needed, or positions that we needed. Granted, we don't know as of yet if the guys will work out, but we got players at positions that was required, particularly 1, 2, and 3. And it just seemed like it was very sensible. Some people claimed it wasn't very sexy. However, I would argue that it was a very sexy draft.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So
I want to hear that. I want to hear that argument.
What argument?
What made the draft so sexy?
Oh, it was very sexy because they finally took a tight end.
Okay.
They finally did something right.
So, right, we shouldn't start in the middle, but I feel like this is the most prominent thing.
No. We're not going to. We're going to ask you, how are you feeling? We know that your feelings are limited to sport, but how are you feeling?
I'm feeling unsexy from the draft, but there's some players that I think are good picks, are solid picks. I don't think there's anything. I feel like it drops off quite quickly,
yes.
and that matches with expectations. Whereas possibly last year, I felt coming in, you came out of it thinking, God, we've probably got about 7 or 8 players that are going to be contributing this season. And it helped, obviously. You're taking a couple of special teamers in there who, in the later round picks, who you knew were going to have to perform immediately. Whereas from this one, you're possibly thinking, yeah, there's potentially 0 starters. But there is maybe
0?
3. Yeah. I think that could be the argument. There's 0 starters.
I'd definitely push back on that.
Who would be a starter then?
The edge guy, definitely. Yeah.
Gabe Jacobs.
Yakis. Yeah. Akers.
According
to Evan, it's Akers.
Gabe Akers.
So, yeah.
He could be. I don't think he's guaranteed to be, though.
Oh.
Whereas, like last year, I think everyone was pretty. Will Campbell's obviously our starting left tackle, and effectively the year before, I know he kind of wasn't, but Drake May was coming in to be your starting quarterback. I don't think there's any of these that are guaranteed starting roles. I'd like to think Akers is going to have a very important, impactful role this year, but I don't think there's a guarantee he's a starter.
Oh, no, I guarantee is a strong word, but I think he's a starter. That was my opinion.
Hopefully,
one thing I'd like to push back on, though, is last draft, they had significant needs. This draft, whilst, don't get me wrong, folks, I know they have needs. Have they actually addressed their needs with O-line depth, a dynamic edge rusher, and a tight end kind of for the future? Do you not feel that they've actually addressed what is necessary, even though they haven't particularly picked maybe a starter? I'm trying not to repeat necessarily over and over again.
Well,
on this very early Tuesday morning. I think I need more tea before.
So I think that to be fair, that speaks to my overall feeling of a lot of this draft is they've drafted a lot of potential. They haven't necessarily drafted proven starting talent. They've drafted a lot of potential. There's a lot of measurables. There's a lot of size, a lot of, to some extent, unproven talent at the highest, obviously at the highest level, because they've only just been drafted to the NFL. But, players like Raridon, and I don't want to get maybe down the tight end thing too much. It's not like he was one of the top tight ends, and brilliant. You're bringing in someone who's definitely going to be a number one by the end of the year, or definitely a number one next year. It might not pan out. There's a lot of upside there, and developed the right way, they could be a very good positional player. Same for Lomu, in my opinion. There's a lot that have potential, but there's no guarantees here. There's also the potential that we look back on this class and go, there was a lot of potential there, but none of it really stuck. None of it came to fruition.
That's the draft, though, surely.
It is the draft, but I think and I'd also say, based on last year, they developed the talent that they received very well, and I hope they can do that again. But I think there's less on tape from this draft class than we had last year.
So what's your biggest gripe then? Is that it? That it's so developmental?
My biggest gripe... so that's an interesting question, and to phrase it that way, because it's strange. So I thought it was strange, as did you, I believe, that they took a second tackle in the draft. Now, taking Crownover as they did, I think is great value, and I rated him as one of the not day one tackles, late day two, early day three tackles. I thought that could be a good developmental option to get in as a swing tackle, as a developmental tackle, potentially taking over on the right hand side in the future. That's a great option to have. So picking him up, more than happy with that. But when you've now taken two of them, and essentially you've taken three in the last 2 years, purely from draft, in fact, 4 in the last 2 years from drafting, as well as picking up in free agency, your starting right tackle, it feels like, okay, we've got a lot in the room now to stick. Hopefully, that's it. We're not going to have to be looking at this again next year, the year after, because we've spent a lot of resources now on getting some tackles. Obviously, it has been one of, if not the biggest flaw in the Pats game the past few years. It was needed.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like a 7-year situation or something. So to me, I wanted to, you said that I probably felt the same. I don't. The fact that they took a second tackle, I think I was happy with, because the depth and everything that's happened since we've been starting doing this show actually has made me think this is finally taking it a bit more seriously on the O-line. Maybe we don't have to worry about it as much. So at that pick, no, that didn't have me with an issue at all.
It feels like they have to get the development right. They've now got enough young talent in that room. You have to get it right. You have to get the coaching right. You have to get the scheme right. You have to get it right for those picks now to have been worth investing so much into it.
Yes, agreed.
So I feel like the onus almost shifts to the coaching setup now to ensure that you really can get some future players out of what you've already got, and that we're not, let's say, by the end of the summer going off. Turned out there's character concerns over Crownover and he's in trouble off the field and he's been cut. You know, Lomu picks up an injury and Campbell doesn't have a great season. And this time, or, you know, March next year, we're going, well, we're picking 15. Do we need to be looking at tackle again? You just hope we're not in that situation. And hopefully we aren't. Well, but there was a lot invested in that. I feel like that now needs to hit. That does now need to hit.
Yeah.
The other, so this is kind of cheating, and I know you like, you know, sitting on fences and all these sorts of things. They obviously didn't address
so much crap for it. Yeah, sorry.
Well, they haven't addressed wide receiver. Now, I've said before the draft, I still think they're going to get AJ Brown, and that is their solution at receiver. If that plays out, then this draft is fine. No problems with it. Like, they obviously, in terms of wide receiver, they've not addressed it. If for whatever reason they don't get AJ Brown, because another team comes in and trumps them, because of the off-field things that have happened, the Eagles decide they don't want to play ball for whatever reason, if the Pats don't end up getting AJ Brown, then I would look at this and be frustrated with the draft that why did we not address wide receiver? We put all our eggs in one basket of getting AJ Brown, and that fails. That's a poor drafting cycle, in my opinion.
They did get 4 Udford wide receivers.
That doesn't tickle my fancy.
I know.
You could get something that comes out of that. I'm not totally down on Udford classes. I do think there is you can find a diamond in the rough every now and then, but that shouldn't be a draft strategy.
No, of course not.
Don't worry, we'll get forward for one of them will work out. Like that's not the way you should be hoping to play things out. So which pick pleased you the most then, Claire?
Oh, that's a good question, because I'm really glad that they addressed edge. And then from what I understand, he's a really good edge. So that made me happy. And they took a tight end.
So I'm assuming. So I was going to say, you've argued in the past when the Pats have picked up a tight end through any means, free agency, trade, draft, that you don't just like any tight end. You don't just want any tight end on the roster.
I don't just like any tight end.
So I'm assuming he was on your short list of ones you wanted.
I could lie and say, yeah, I know so much about him. However, he actually had fallen through the cracks. He wasn't really on my radar.
Okay.
As I think I said on the show before, I was trying really hard not to get too invested this year because I was really concerned that I would be really invested in the Titans and then they just wouldn't take one, or they'd get an Udford that everybody was like, who? So I was trying very hard to steal my emotions, and I didn't look into the Titans as deeply as I would have done normally. So I didn't really look into him very much. I didn't look into any of them very much. There was a couple that I did a bit because I was weak and couldn't help it. But looking at everything since, I'm happy. He wasn't necessarily, if you'd have asked me 4 weeks ago, who's your Titan and who should they pick? Simply because I hadn't really looked into it. So it was more an uneducated situation than he wasn't on my radar sort of thing. Because nobody really was.
Okay.
To be honest. And I want to jump back because I'm actually quite happy that they took an O-lineman as well. Now, they got the 7th of the top 7 or something, but it's better than get the 11th of the top 7, isn't it, really? So I know he's not necessarily... I think they got caught a little bit unawares. That's why they had to move up and get him. I'm not sure. But... yeah, I was really glad that they got those 3 positions potentially covered, and not with a kind of like with the second round with Gabe Akers. Like they didn't pick up the edge that maybe they would have done a few years ago. That we're all like, but there was so and so, and there was so and so. Why have you took this guy? Sort of thing. It was more of a they took a good guy. So 1, 2, and 3, I was really quite happy. In general, didn't know
you were happy with trading up.
I didn't mind it. It didn't bother me at all.
I quite like it because you're targeting players. You're going up and getting. You're making sure you don't miss out. Particularly, I think the Loma pick. That's where it was. It was okay. Purpose. There's probably only really one left here. Let's use our capital and make sure we get the one we want. Or one of the group that we want. I'm not saying he was necessarily their first choice from the start, but we don't want to miss out on this wave. Let's go out and make sure we don't miss out on this wave. Yeah, and I like that. And the same for Akers. That if they thought he's in our group that we definitely want, or potentially even he's higher up in the group we want. Let's go and do it. We don't need all these day 3 picks. Let's go and do it. And I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. I quite like that aggression in getting talent in the room that you want to get in the room, rather than, like you say, settling for, okay, we didn't get quite the one we wanted, but we'll just get a different one instead. So targeting players I'm fine with. It's
me too.
The Raridon one is an interesting one because I do feel like that is more of that felt more of taking, if you like, the best available on the board. That he wasn't on my radar either, and I don't know. I'm not blown away by it. I feel like they've gone, we need a tight end. He's the best one there. In their eyes, by their measurables, by other people's, he wasn't the best. You know, I know some boards had other tight ends who they thought they could have taken above him, but they kind of gone, he's the best one. Let's get him, see what happens. And to some extent, that should be the expectations of him. You haven't invested highly, seriously highly. That okay, we have to get the next Gronk here, or we have to get the next Hernandez or whatever. It's no, we've got a good one to have a go at. Let's see if we can get anywhere with him. If we don't, it's not the end of the world.
I find that interesting because I think he's one of the ones that fits into their scheme and stuff like this. He's reasonable in the run. His weaknesses in the pass game, but he's a little bit needs a bit of work.
Yeah,
but
it's a bit raw.
He's not,
there's development.
Yeah,
needed.
A little bit, but he's got a lot of skill set, and he's a good athlete. So I think that what he needs is just a bit of time and a bit of development. I think that they've hit on a really good one. I mean, personally, obviously, I know I'm lamenting because I'm a tight end enthusiast anyway. But looking at his skill set and having a look at him in general, I think that it's not just we've settled. I don't feel like we've settled. Obviously, you can. That's well within your rights. Not saying that you are wrong whatsoever. I don't feel like we've settled. I'm really happy. I'm very excited.
Would you have preferred one of the higher on your board or other people's boards tight ends?
I'm not sure, because a lot of the issue with the tight ends this year in the draft was they were one or the other. There weren't many of them that were well-rounded, and he actually hits the box of a more well-rounded, of a blocker, of a pass catcher. There were plenty more sort of receiver way tight ends than there. I mean, even Max Clare was more of a receiver. He didn't really do the blocking situation. There was another one.
It's an interesting way of it. It almost feels like a glass half full, glass half empty argument, because you're right. There were some that were much stronger blocking tight ends. There were some that were much stronger passing tight ends. There was one who was good at both. Realistically, Raridon wasn't great at either. There's just the potential that he could be. He's got some raw tools, measurables that, okay, maybe we can refine both of these areas and he can become good, because he hasn't shown it yet, realistically.
Okay.
And so you could have gone, well, we'll get one of the good passing tight, one of the good receiving tight ends, and we'll see if he can improve his blocking. Or you might have gone, we'll get one of the blocking tight ends, and we'll see if we can improve his receiving. And they've kind of gone, you know what? We've got one that we think we can improve both areas, because he's not as good a receiver.
Okay, I think we're going to argue about this for quite a while, so let's move on.
We probably could,
and it's coming from, but
it'll just be a case of how does he develop, and if he doesn't develop the way that we hope,
fair, yeah,
he might not be here this time next year. Probably would be, but there's a lot to develop, and if he develops, brilliant. It's a great pick. You got good value. You developed a young tight end who's your guy for the future. I'm no way am I writing him off. I think there's a lot to develop.
Part of it is this is the first tight end that they've drafted that I've been excited about in a long time. I've tried to be excited about who they drafted in the previous years, but I haven't really. It's been kind of you talk yourself into it because he's a Patriot sort of thing. This is the first tight end that I've been really excited about.
But surely
you don't have to be, obviously.
But surely that what you've just said does apply to him, because he didn't hit your radar. before the.
No, but
If he'd
that's
been
a me
drafted,
thing, not a him thing.
no, but if
because I
he'd
didn't
been,
have many.
yeah, but if he'd been drafted this week by the Steelers, you wouldn't be
Yeah.
sat here going, "Oh, we really missed out on. We should have got Raridon. I can't believe we didn't." He would have been a much better pick. It's because
It
the
depends
Pats
who
have
they
picked
would
him
have
up.
picked.
You've now looked at him and you've gone, "Okay, there's things that are alike," which is fair.
Yes.
But of all the
Yeah,
ones that were talked about, looked at, discussed, could be in this range in the first round or second round or third round or fourth round, like all the ones that were just, he'd never really hit any radars.
I
Now
see your
people are
point.
now Pats have him. Actually, you know what? I think he could come good. But that I'm just saying that is a case of now he's on our team. I think we've got gold.
Now, I see your point, but my point, my pushback that you throw me under the bus is I didn't really look into anybody. So whoever they drafted, if I liked the look, would have been excited after watching, simply because I didn't really look into many because I didn't want to put myself in that emotional, Sam Laporta situation. There was only a couple of names that I was really aware of, that everybody was aware of earlier on. And the rest I'd looked at and watched at the combine, but I was trying really hard not to get invested. So to say that he wasn't on my radar is not a him thing, it's a me thing. There's many guys that are on that list that they would have drafted that I would have then looked into and said, I really like him. So no, I'm not just forcing like a round peg into a square hole. Now we've got him. Looking at him, he has got all the traits that I really like in a tight end. If they'd have taken a pass catching tight end who had been really good, I wouldn't necessarily be excited, regardless of who it was, because I like that blocking, pass catching, run game sort of dynamic tight end. And this guy has got more of those skill set than some of the others. Yeah, he needs work on all of those skill set or some of it, but that feels like, well, that's what they do. That's why a lot of tight ends don't start the first year, because there's so much more to develop and to learn. So there's lots of tight ends in this draft that will have been taken that won't be full starters anyway, however good / bad they are, because of how it works with the player position.
How does this impact your view of them not looking to retain Hooper, in as much as I think he has the opportunity in camp to come out of camp as T2, still with things to work on. I'm not saying he's a complete rounded, but in terms of the makeup of the current Pats roster, he's a chance to come out that as the second best tight end.
Yeah.
If Hooper had still been around, realistically, I think he wouldn't have been able to come out of camp any higher than third best tight end.
Correct. Yeah.
And so do you think it is good that they therefore didn't retain Hooper, and so it's going to give their draft pickup the opportunity to develop? Or do you see it as, for the tight end position in general, a slight concern that whilst there is some upside to this tight end, is he really ready to be a number two? Or bigger question, is he really ready to be a number one? Should Hunter Henry not be able to suit up 1 week?
I think he's more of a 2A and B with Hill, because Hill's so predominantly a blocking tight end. I think you've got kind of like Hunter, your TE1, and Reridon and Hill, your TE2A and B or something, because it depends on what they're running in regards to the run game, the pass game, that sort of thing. With regard to them, they've let Hooper go. So do you think that's good or bad for this guy? I don't know really, because it just depends on.
I think it's good for the guy because it's going to give him more opportunities.
Yes.
But is it good for the team? Because you're one Hunter Henry away now from your tight end room is Hill and Raridon, and I don't rate that very highly.
Well, they obviously wanted to go with the more sort of blocking tight end run game situation, which is why they picked up Hill, because that's way more of his strength than anything else. I don't know. I don't know. I very much see your point, but no, I'm not concerned. I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. I think it's just a business thing of they wanted to look at the run game more, and they couldn't maintain Henry, Hooper, and bring in Hill as a blocker, which they obviously wanted. They wanted a strong blocking tight end there on their roster, sort of thing. So they couldn't have had those three and then brought in the rookie sort of thing. Well, they probably wouldn't have done that. So the only way that they were going to bring in a rookie to develop for the future, to grow a good dynamic with Drake May, to start the ball rolling, to actually, fill the cupboard with TEs a bit more since Gronk retired. That's probably the only way they were going to do it. So it not necessarily good or bad. It was probably the only process that was going to really roll. So really think we should move on from Titans because people are going to be bored.
I agree. We've taught day 1, day 2. We should probably look at the day 3 pickups. Okay. So which ones are there any of those that jump out to you that you are hoping or expecting will make impacts on their side of the ball? So not necessarily they're coming in and yeah, I think it's a good special teams pickup, but are you hoping Prunty, for example, is able to get an impact? Do you expect him to have an impact in the DB class or the DB room?
I don't know. I haven't heard. That was the one that sort of, I think he's the one that was sort of out of sync as well, wasn't he? He was drafted early, if you like, for want of a. The thing about the later rounds, 5, 6, 7, that had me a little bit concerned was when they took Prunty. Obviously, I don't know who was available off the top of my head. That's where, for me, it should have been looking at linebacker, because I think they've got a weakness at linebacker, letting Gibbons go and all the other guys whose names I've already forgotten, even though they've only just left. I think they've got a weakness there. So, I mean, is a round 6, a late round 6 and a late round 7, almost the last guy in the draft for the Patriots. Are they really going to replace Gibbons, Tavai? Who else? Who was the other linebacker? Did Chason go as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that they let go some people I thought were really quite good on that side of the ball. And I think that's the thing that concerns me the most of this draft is the linebacker position. I'm not sure. Now, don't get me wrong. The 2 guys that they picked up who have got exceptionally interesting names that I'm Obizar, and Hutchins. I like Hutchins, great. Apologies, folks. I was looking at that thinking, I'm not going to get that very well on an early Tuesday morning. They could go great, like diamonds in the rough, like you said. I'm just worried that the pressure on those 2 guys is a bit more than it needed to be because of all the guys that they released. Because Tavai, impactful player. Chason, impactful player. Gibbons, super impactful player. He even took over for Spillane when Spillane was injured. I've got to be honest with you, full disclosure, I'm still not over the Gibbons thing. I'm still not over that he went to, he signed somewhere else. They let him go. I'm not good with that. I'm still not good with that. This is more than the Ryan Izzo let go at the moment. I'm feeling this is a big deal. People didn't realize this is a big deal. He was the second in command when it came to the defense. He was Spillane's backup and they just let him walk. I'm not over that. So linebacker for me, big thing, bit worried. That's my biggest concern coming away.
I'm on board that. I'm on board with that.
It wasn't. Before they let these guys go, I had no worries about linebacker. Then they go and draft them late in the draft. The guys that they drafted could be really good. And people don't need to come at me and say, these are spectacular. Mwah, diamonds in the rough. Okay, cool, excellent, awesome. I haven't looked into them properly. So, I'm not fully educated when it comes to these 2 guys.
I'm not blown away by who we are, by him. I don't have high expectations for any. Crownover is probably the one that I do think has a chance to be swing tackle or the longer term replacement at right tackle. The rest of them, I'm kind of meh. I would have thought Prunty is going to have opportunity to be sort of maybe nickel or in the DB room. He'll be given opportunities. I don't have high expectations he's going to be a starter. But he's going to have those opportunities. Possibly, as you've just said, through lack of bodies almost, Obiezer is going to have an opportunity there at linebacker. But again, from what I see and have read, I don't have high expectations that he's going to be grabbing a role based on his play. It might just be he gets a role because of
he has to.
He kind of has to.
There's a gap. Somebody's got to fill it.
And I did have a look at the free agent board for linebacker. And
I didn't. Is there anybody?
Not really. I mean, there's a few there that were big names that are near the end of their career and retiring, like Bobby Wagner, and who are still unsigned. But I don't think that's the route you want to get. That's where Gibbons felt the sort of the perfect profile, that they've got some experience in the league, but they're young enough that you could have them for a couple of years. They've just played well for you. They're not that expensive. Surprised that they don't keep them around. Go on, you look like you had a question there.
Yeah, no, I don't have a question. I have a statement.
Oh.
Mr. Vrabel Coach, sir, if you're watching Pat's Procrastination, which I'm very, very, very certain he isn't, but if you're watching Pat's Procrastination, please go to Arizona and outdo the Arizona bid. Bring Jack Gibbons back, please. Please bring him back. Because he's on a 2-year deal there. Throw a bit of money at him and bring him back, please.
Wasn't it Arizona he was just caught out in?
Is that? I didn't know that when Colorado? I just said that. I don't remember that. I was simply appealing to the whole Jack Gibbons situation. Why did you have to throw that in and ruin it? I didn't remember that bit. So faux pas by me. Apologies, folks. But I was not indicating in any way, shape or form in regards to the off-field things with Mike Vrabel. I just really want him to bring Jack Gibbons back. So bad. So bad. And I think they need him. That is possibly the worst thing that has kind of like been let go since I was a fan, maybe. I mean,
wow,
it was a big deal. But the letting
Gibbons go is the worst let go since you've been a fan of the Patriots.
Yes, maybe. I might be living in the moment, but I'm really
possibly, yeah.
Shut up now. I'm really bummed about that. And not only is it like, Claire's silly emotional thing because she's really bummed because she really liked that player and everything. I genuinely, from a football perspective, from a logical, not being a fluffy little blonde person, being a serious football fan right now, I genuinely think that they have screwed up by doing that because he was a good player and it was at a position that they haven't sorted out. And I think that considering Spillane had injuries, not saying that just because you've had an injury, you're going to have an injury again, but he had injuries and Gibbons stepped in and the defense was good. So I don't understand from that equation what equals, okay, we'll let Jack Gibbons go. Particularly because they didn't draft a linebacker early in the draft. It's not a case of, well, we'll let Gibbons go because we know XYZ player in the draft is superb. We can get him in the so-and-so round and we're going to plug him and it's all great and smashing fantastic. And now finish with my rant now. I think we need to wrap it up and give people... That's been bottled up for a while, it would seem. I didn't realize until this morning, until I was writing my notes, how it's waiting on me still.
There we go. You got it off your chest. Yeah. Well done. Anyone in the UDFA class that takes your fancy? Did they pick up a tight end in the UDFAs?
They did. He's not exactly a pass game threat, but he was a team captain in college and for his final 2 seasons. What he lacks in the pass game, apparently, he does make up in the run attack. So that's probably one of the reasons they were looking at him. Blocking tight end, I'm wondering if he's a practice squad Julian Hill type thing. Mm-hmm. I think he's that sort of. I'm not saying he's comparable. I don't know enough about him. I think maybe that's what you're looking at, that sort of role. So maybe he's your practice squad. I don't know. Maybe not. He might be there for 5 minutes, like a lot of the UDFAs can be. So,
and to be fair, with you mentioning the run game there, Jam Miller out of Alabama, I think that's probably your third running back. He'll get some carries through the season. I don't see him as a threat to the 2 above him, but it's another piece in the room. He'll get some opportunities.
Yeah, and he warranted some take some funny takes by Mike Reese on Twitter. I think Mike Jardy was giving Mike Reese some grief for his dad jokes. So yeah,
that's about right. That's about right.
So very quickly, because we really don't have time for this, but
go on.
I was quite interested because I've had my moment now. I've taken up way too much of the show ranting about Jack Evans. I really do apologise, folks. The taking of a quarterback. Round 7. So what were your thoughts on Mr. Morton from Texas Tech?
He feels like a Brian Hoyer type player. Just not that amazingly exciting, but possibly can just come in and hit a route. Just calm, sensible. Go on.
I'm sorry, I was trying to give you some information. He's comparable, apparently. I'm trying to think who wrote it. I think it might have been Evan Lazar of Patriots.com. I think his pro comparison was Bailey Zappi, apparently. And I don't know how much in his favour that's going to work.
Well, he doesn't seem to have much arm strength, so I'm not expecting him to hit bombs down the field like Milton. He doesn't seem to have a quick arm, a rapid arm either for bullets, but just potentially come in, throw a 7-yard fade or something. He could come in and do that. And so it just could be a development piece. I don't have high expectations. He's going to be the third quarterback on the roster.
Oh, of course.
And he could potentially be a backup in a couple of years, but
yeah. I just wanted to touch
on it. I don't. It just doesn't hit any radars, really. It doesn't. Which is where the Milton one did, because, and I'm still a bit frustrated that I liked that approach of you're getting almost you had almost a tight end quarterback there. You had someone who you could come in and use in certain situations, to attack teams. Whereas Morton doesn't seem that at all. It's just, man, we got a third backup. And I like the thought of, maybe they could put together a playbook where Milton could be useful. And even if it was just Hail Marys and you know what, he's got a rocket arm, we could hit a Hail Mary from the 30-yard line around half if we had to. But there was plays there you thought that could win us a game, where I don't feel like that's what it is with Morton. So my last question for you then. What percentage likelihood are you putting it that the Pats sign AJ Brown in the next month? Or 5 weeks, I guess, technically, isn't it? Start of June.
Yeah, probably. More than likely. I reckon probably an 85% that they.
And do you want them to?
89%.
Now they've gone through the draft, and so essentially it's almost AJ or bust. Would you rather they signed AJ, or rather they didn't?
Probably that they did. Now, I'll be completely honest, because I usually am on this show. What you see is what you get with me, unfortunately. Apologies, folks. I'm starting to be a bit it's gone on for so long with not much news and everything. But I think I want them to sign AJ Brown for the rest of the fans, so that all the fans that are so excited about getting him are happy. So then at least Pats Nation will be more happy. So they need a wide receiver. I'm concerned how much they pay for him when it picks and stuff, because the guy's got a degenerative knee situation, and I don't think he's not a long-term situation. So, and I quite like Stefan Diggs. I've got a bit of a soft spot for him towards him.
I was going to mention this because that's almost the same as what you said about Diggs last year.
I know.
And Diggs is older.
And he's an Eagle. Look, so I would be happy if they bring AJ Brown in. I'm pretty confident that they will, just because of all the chatter. I hope they do, because they need a wide receiver, and Pats Nation need him because it'll make them happy. I hope it's not of the sacrifice of one of the wide receivers I really like, particularly Booty, because he works so hard. So it for me, the only sort of negative downside or thing that I'm bothered about is the cost of him. That's what bothers me. other than that, whatever. Fill your boots, go nuts. So,
I think they'll pick him up, and I
You
think it'll
want
be
him,
a
don't
good
you?
thing. I want them to go and get him.
Of course not.
The one last comment I make, I was very much humoured and laughing at the Steelers for how the Eagles came up and took Lemon from stole him on draft night. That amused me as someone who doesn't like the Steelers. That amused me. I did, after giggling, I did then worry, oh, sugar, what if that means that they go and then steal AJ Brown from the Pats and they think we have to go and get one? And thought this could come back to haunt me. But then they took a receiver in the second round, so I suspect they're not going to do that.
I like the idea, the fact that they do it just to annoy you.
Oh yeah, no, it's purely they went,
just we're going to get AJ Brown just so he can't have him.
Yep.
I love it. Anyway, we
Can't
need
have
to
that
really
little
wrap up, folks.
limey giggling.
Please make sure you are checking us out on the socials, folks, so that you do not miss the next episode, because it's kind of technically off season and we're still building back up, and some of us have got major work commitments. That's why we haven't been here for a few weeks. We're not on a regular schedule just yet, so please keep an eye on sort of like Twitter and on the blog and the YouTube channel, so you see when if you're subscribing, you don't have to worry about it. So quickly, according to Tom Pelissero, it is 134 days until kickoff. I didn't check the math, so don't come at me if I'm wrong. That was the Pellraiser that quoted it. So for episode 94, getting very close to that 100, folks. Episode 94 of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe, folks. He's Chudders. I'm Clazzy Clare. Tune in next time. And as always, go Pats.
LFG.